Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Coleman, the state senator from the Second Senatorial District in Connecticut, and also the host of the Senate Reports. Today, we are graced with the presence of a special guest, Mr. Thomas T.J. Clark, who is a candidate for the Hartford City Council. And I'd like to welcome him to the program. Welcome, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And so you're running for the Hartford City Council.
That I am.
What makes you interested in running for the Hartford City Council?
Because being a resident and a father and a taxpayer in the city, I've seen the demise of certain city services and the lack of accountability through some of our elected officials. So I thought that this will be a fine time for me to put my hat in the ring to run for City Council to make a change for the better good.
Tell us how the campaign is going.
Campaign is going great. Been having some great responses from the residents. I've been knocking on doors across the entire city, and the atmosphere has been great. The people are excited and looking for a change.
What kind of responses are you getting at the door?
Some people don't know me, haven't known me, haven't seen me. So it's been a great way to introduce myself and speak to them about what I would like to see, what I would like to change in the city. But they have been just excited and enthused with the fact that somebody such as myself, as young as I am, has decided to run for elected office.
It's always good to see younger people get involved in the political process. Hartford has its challenges, though, some immense challenges in the view of some people. And some people say that the current administration hasn't dealt very well with these challenges. What are you proposing to do as far as improving the quality of our schools is concerned, or things like public safety and the prevention of youth violence? Have you given much thought to those kind of issues?
I have. I think that, to go to your first point with the attention to our schools, I think that there needs to be more attention to our neighborhood schools, with the fact that there needs to be more resources put in place within the budget to address some of the issues and concerns that our principals have shared that they need far as governing for the children, for the neighborhood schools. I think that we've done a great job of creating a pool of magnet schools and growing that, but there's still the fact that you have a lot of students who live in the neighborhoods that go to neighborhood schools, and then the fact that you have an education disparity between the neighborhood schools and the magnet and charter schools. And I think that we need to make sure that to eliminate the disparities and make sure that there's equal education, equal resources to those schools as well. Because to drive home ownership, you have to make sure that you have, good schools put in place into our neighborhoods to make sure that those taxes are being paid into the city, so that we can build our revenue stream for the city. For as public safety, I do think that that needs to be addressed with the relationships between the police department and the community to make sure that the community policing model is put in place. I remember a time growing up at school where we had officer friendly, and so the police officers made sure that they had built a relationship with the young children at an early age, so that they can understand that although that they are in charge of enforcing the law, but they also have a friend within the law enforcement. Now you see that there is more of a animosity between the police department, the police officer, and the resident. And I think that just drives what we've seen nationally. I think that's continued to drive the wedge between the police department and the residents. So I would, if I'm duly elected by our residents, I would like to do a public safety forum, far as monthly, having a public safety meeting within the neighborhood just to address some of these things. And then the fact that, you have people who want to become a police officer and want to become a firefighter, but they just don't know the process. And that's something that I've seen that has not taken place. Educating our community members as to what it would take to become a police officer, what it would take to become a firefighter, and the fact that I may have a record, but how I can go through the steps to expunge my record so that I can become a public safety official. Because you have some people who live in the city that want to do good by the city by becoming a police officer or a firefighter. And so that's some of the things I would like to do.
You make some very good points. I especially appreciate the point you make concerning the correlation between good schools and property values and the generation of revenue through the payment of property taxes. So speaking of education, are you a product of the Hartford Public School System yourself?
I am not a product of the Hartford Public School System. I went to Bloomfield Public School System.
Okay, that's not a bad town.
No, it's not.
Very decent town. And did you graduate from Bloomfield High School?
I did graduate from Bloomfield High, class of 1999.
And I assume you went on to higher education after Bloomfield High School?
I absolutely did.
Where'd you go?
I started at Virginia State University, and then I actually matriculated at DeVry University with a bachelor's degree in project management. And then I went on to get my MBA from Salem International University with a concentration in international business.
Okay. And in terms of your work experience?
My work experience, I started in the insurance industry, transitioned into the sales, working with Office Depot at one point, and then got my municipal experience by working for the current mayor, Mayor Segarra. Excuse me, I started as a community liaison for him. I worked for 3 years in administration, worked my way up within his office to be the acting director of the Constituent Services Department, and also his assistant, as well as the Chief of Staff's assistant. So that's how I was able to build a network of community relationships, starting in the mayor's office, and then leaving the mayor's office. I took a job with the Urban League of Greater Hartford as their director of workforce and development training. And then now I'm with U.S. Senator Chris Murphy as his urban affairs special initiatives coordinator.
Okay. One of the issues has been engaging young people just in terms of participation in the political process, not necessarily as candidates for office, but the voter turnout in many elections in Hartford is relatively low, to be candid, sometimes very poor. Have you given much thought as to how to engage young people in the process? And in recent days, we've heard a lot of talk about plans to address public safety. And one of the big criticisms, most of the plans that have been discussed to this point, is that it's adults talking to adults rather than adults talking to or bringing younger people who may be involved in violent incidents into the discussion. Have you given any thought onto how we might accomplish a more comprehensive dialogue or discussion around issues like public safety and some of the other matters that affect young people?
I think we need to go. I think we need to go to the streets, go to knock on the doors. And as I've been knocking on doors, I've been coming across people who might have some type of a criminal background, but they just feel disengaged because there's been nobody that's an elected official or somebody that is in charge of policy that's been reaching out to them to listen to them, to see what their needs are. And so I spoke to a particular gentleman who had a criminal background, and he was just disengaged. He was unhappy with how some things are going, the fact that he sees that there's really no light at the end of the tunnel. But he was pleased with the fact that he saw me, asked me how it was that he saw me, that I was looking to run for elected office and see that I'm looking to make a change. And one of the things that is part of my quality of life platform is youth civic engagement, and to make sure that those that want to be a part of the process can learn how to be the part of the process, to make sure that they can help effectuate change for not just for themselves, for other people as well. I think the fact that there are certain people that make decisions on behalf of other people, but they're disengaged from them. They've reached a point where they just have removed themselves from the process. And now we are past that point where we need to talk to people who are affected by some of the policies that have been put in place. And so one of the things I would like to do now, I've said this to groups that, if I'm elected and I'm going to be making a decision, whether it affects youth, whether it affects minority contractors, I'm not going to make a decision because of me not having knowledge about it. I'm going to make a decision, bringing them to the table, making sure that they are advising me as to some of the policies that need to be implemented that will affect them for the greater good.
Okay. So speaking of youth, if my recollection serves me accurately, you're a part of the organization called the Emerging Leaders Network.
That is correct.
Okay. Tell us about that organization and what kind of things are you working on? What kind of things have you accomplished as an organization? The
Emerging Leaders Network was formed back in 2013. As some might know, that I was a part of this organization that helped bring back the African American Parade.
Mm-hmm.
And we formed this based upon wanting to do more and better for the youth. Bringing back this parade has really excited the youth and excited the Hartford community. So that's part of the mission, is really to build back the youth capacity in the city of Hartford, to let youth and young leaders and professionals know that there's this thriving organization that can help revitalize the city of Hartford and some of the key things that we once enjoyed as a child or as a young person. And so that's been some of the charge that I have placed upon myself, to make sure that we do more of engaging of our young people in our young professional network.
Mm-hmm. And so I know some of the people who are involved in the Emerging Leaders Network. Can you inform the viewers about who your colleagues might be in the Emerging Leaders Network? My
colleagues who are the co-founders, you have State Representative Brandon McGee, mm-hmm. who I call the gentleman from the 5th District, General Assembly District. You have Chaz Gatewood. You have Aisha Clark, who was also my wife, and mm-hmm. Eddie Brown. Tiana Hercules was at the table, and also Charity Chambers. So this was the core group that came together to create the Emerging Leaders Network. And we started off on a big success with this parade, and we're going to continue to do more initiatives. We did also back last year, I think you were part of that, was the Black Male Defined, which was a group of professional men that agreed to be mentors to young men. And we also are going to be launching at a later time Males, which is another mentoring program, but for youth in the school system.
How do you fund these activities?
We just did the good old fashioned grassroots fundraising conversation, but going down the line, we look to really solicit some grant proposals to get funding from the philanthropic organizations to continue what we have started.
In the event any of the viewers wanted to make a contribution to the Emerging Leaders Network, how would they go about doing that?
At this moment, they can actually send the email to the African American Parade email account, which is africanamericanparade@gmail.com. And then from there, we can have a conversation on how they would like to become involved.
Okay. The parade, as you described, it was very exciting this year. And this was after an absence of about 6 years, was it?
The last 6 or 7 years, yes, since the last parade.
Yeah.
That was a process. And I had a vision about bringing it back in 2013. It was about February to be exact. And I made some calls to some people, spoke to some of the people such as Eula Dotson and Ron Armstrong to see where that committee was at the last time that they had convened the meeting. And it was dormant for quite some time, as they explained to me. But they gave me their blessing. I called some other people, I believe I called yourself and some of our other elders of the community to see what they thought about me bringing this parade back. And it was nothing but excitement. It was challenging at times, but as you saw, as being one of the grand marshals for the parade, I thank you for agreeing to be that.
No, that was my pleasure.
That it was just an exciting time for our community. Heard nothing but great rave reviews from people who are alongside Albany Avenue, as well as those that had was in Keeney Park, and even some of the parade participants themselves. They were just really excited to see that this parade came back to our community, to the city, and stayed in the community as well.
Mm-hmm. And in years gone by, the parade was done in conjunction with, I think it was the Harmony Classic, maybe. Actually, it's the Urban League's football game that was held in New York City.
The Whitney Young Classic.
The Whitney Young Classic, thank you. Used to be held at Yankee Stadium, and then I guess it was moved to the Meadowlands, but it was always a football game between football teams from historically Black colleges and universities. And the marching bands also accompanied the football teams. And so we're coming up on a break. We're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about a little bit about some of the parades, African-American parades in the past, and compare some of the activities that occurred during those parades that may be incorporated into future parades.
Absolutely.
In the city of Hartford. So we're going to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you.
It's a meet and greet book signing Tuesday, September the 1st. Come and meet Tina Williams, author of Finding Peace After a Life of Sexual, Mental, and Physical Abuse. Get your own signed copy of her touching book that explores her life's challenges and experiences. It all happens at 50 Elm Street in Hartford, Connecticut, starting at 5 until 7 o'clock. For more information, call Dwayne White at 860-983-9192.
When I grow up, I'll be your doctor.
I will be a firefighter, or maybe the fire chief.
I'll be a Supreme Court justice.
I'm attorney Jeffrey Dressler. I advocate education. It lasts a lifetime.
And I'm Mayor Pedro Segarra. Be a part of your children's education. Together, we can help our children fulfill their dreams.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Senate Reports. In the previous segment, we were talking with Mr. Thomas T.J. Clark, who is a candidate for the Hartford City Council, and we were talking about his candidacy and his experience campaigning for office, as well as some of his background. And we left off. We were talking about his involvement in the reinstitution of the African American Parade in Hartford. And I wanted to just compare some of what had gone on with respect to the African American parades in Hartford and what we might incorporate into future African American parades. And one of the features of past parades was the participation of the marching bands of historically Black colleges and universities. And I'm wondering whether or not the committee has given any thought to reaching out to the marching bands of any of the historically Black colleges and universities and inviting them to participate in Hartford's African American Parade?
We do. That has been number one on our priority list for the next year's parade. Me having gone to Virginia State University and participating in the marching band, the Trojan Explosion, I was a saxophonist. That's always that's a goal of mine, to either have Virginia State University participate. Brandon went to Alabama State, so he's already been talking about the Marching Hornets participating. Chaz went to Howard, so he's thinking about having the Bison's marching band come. So those are some of the 3 bands that are on our list that we're going to be speaking to see if they have any interest of coming. I know I used to go to the Whitney M. Young Classic down in the Meadowlands, and I saw Howard, I saw Virginia State, and some of the other, I think it was Alabama State too, some of those colleges participating. And so we'll just see what the schedule is. Not sure what those Black colleges are going to be participating in that football game, but seeing if they would agree to, as they have done in the past, to come to Hartford on their way to the Meadowlands to participate in that football game. But ultimately, really, I would like to see, and I've heard some suggestions from our community members that they would like to see Hartford have their Hartford City Classic, such as what the Urban League does for the Whitney M. Young Classic, to have the a Black college football game here in Hartford after the African American Parade. So have the parade in the morning, then have your football game in the evening, which is whether it's going to be down at Dillon Stadium after they redo that area, or have it at Rensselaer Field. But if Dillon Stadium actually gets done, then we'll see how much
Those are good thoughts
cost.
and good ideas. Now, this year the parade was done in conjunction with the Family Day activities.
Yes.
Associated with Keeney Park and Friends of Keeney Park. I think that's good. Interestingly enough, Dr. Gwendolyn Boyd, who's the president of Alabama State University, has visited Hartford on at least a couple of occasions. And Representative McGee introduced me to her. Probably not surprising, she was boasting that Alabama State's marching band was the best in the country.
Yeah, I beg to differ on that.
Right. I think a lot of people would debate her on that, including you from Virginia State. I have a son that worked at Florida A&M. He was saying that there's no comparison between any other marching band and
the Marching 100 from FAMU.
But there is a great sense of pride in connection with HBCU alumni and their marching bands, if not their football team, their marching bands is a source of pride for all of them. I think that's great, and it would be great for youngsters in Hartford to see that kind of pride exhibited and that kind of dynamism exhibited by the marching bands that may participate in Hartford's African American Parade. So I think that would be a good idea to pursue as well. The timing is not ideal because we're probably at the end of summer and schools are out of session. But to the extent that marching bands still exist in the high schools in Hartford, and I know it's a bit of a problem because charter schools have emerged and magnet schools have emerged, and so there are probably less students available to make up a marching band in the public schools. But for those schools that still have marching bands, I think it'd be a great idea to invite their participation as well in the parade. Bloomfield High may still have a marching band. I think they do. But any thought given to expanding the parade along those kind of lines, just having more I guess musical bands featured, marching bands featured in the parade? Absolutely.
As you know, Hartford's proud drum and drill team was the featured band.
They did a great job.
They did an excellent,
they always do a great job.
Excellent job. And as you will see, people will see, I'm a person that likes to collaborate. I believe that one entity, one group can do it all. You need collaboration, and that's something that you'll be seeing after I'm elected. It's about collaborating with other groups to make a greater impact. And so I reached out to Terry Starks to see if she would be interested in her group participating. And then she reached out to some other entities that they are in competition with on a reoccurring basis. And there happened to have been other bands that said that they were going to participate, but they did not. But to make it more musically, which traditionally have been part of our parade, yes, I'm all for that. We are all for having other drill teams as well as bands participate. I would like to see some of the churches get floats to have some of their choirs or their praise teams participate, and I would like to see some of our radio stations, as they do with other parades, have a float, so it could be a fun-filled time going down Albany Avenue into our park. That's the reason why I collaborated with the Friends of Keeney Park for Family Day, is because that was their 30th anniversary, and I thought it would be fitting for us coming back since the 7-year dormancy period. It's our first time coming back, and with the 30th anniversary, to make sure that there's a collaboration so people can see that there's a spirit of collaboration that still takes place in the city of Hartford between minority groups, and that there still can be peace in our city regardless of what has been going on with the spikes in violent crimes and other activities going on. Our city is safe. And I think that once people start to see that there can be positive activity and synergy in our neighborhoods that may be poverty stricken, these activities still take place, and this is what people want.
And as I said, the parade worked well. Definitely a feather in the cap of yourself and the other people who are involved in coordinating and bringing back, rejuvenating the African American parade here in Hartford. So kudos to you.
Thank you, sir.
And the rest of the group.
Thank you
for that.
And this is what, as part of the platform, youth civic engagement. So that's really what's all about. Not just about me running, for elected office, but this is something that we all ought to be participating in to make sure that there's this type of civic and community engagement taking place.
Okay. So we got a few minutes left. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some personal aspects of Thomas Clark? I know that you're married. You made reference to your wife.
Yes.
Any children?
I have 2 boys.
Okay.
My oldest son is Thomas III, call him TJ, as well. And I have a younger son. His name is Aiden. And they are both musically inclined as well. They are fun-filled children if you happen to know them. I am a church member. I go to the Citadel of Love. Overseer Marshall Munz is the pastor.
Barber Street?
On Barber Street, 167 Barber Street. Great church in the community, looking to do great things. I'm a musician. I'm one of the elders of the church. I've helped out. Another reputation of mine is helping out churches in the city of Hartford by way is either ministry, by way of the word, or being a musician. What else? I love to travel when I get a chance. I love to shop, and I'm just really, I think people say I'm just a great person, always smiling, looking to bring about laughter and joy to a situation, and just I love people who want to be a great change.
We've already alluded to there are a number of challenges that any elected official representing Hartford needs to get their arms around. I guess I'm interested in with you, is there one focus or one priority that you would be pursuing? Basically, for those who are voters in the city of Hartford, this is an opportunity, I suppose, for you to express to them why they should support and vote for TJ Clark in the upcoming primary.
I'm looking to change the aspect of quality of life. If people who have been listening to me, that's been my platform, quality of life. And a lot falls under quality of life, rather it's the conditions of our streets, more so the conditions of our neighborhood, which is the blighted houses and buildings that continue to plague our neighborhoods. So I'm looking to really be aggressive about changing some of the blight ordinances for the city of Hartford, as well as public safety is a concern of mine. Making sure that, as I said, our police have to do a better job with doing community policing, engaging our community making sure that we have the adequate resources for our police department, as well as adequate resources for our fire department. Fire department it houses a lot of individuals of a professional manner. I just want to make sure that our fire department gets back to its prominence as being the first class department within the United States of America. Also, too, just making sure that, as far as the people who are homeowners that have been having issues with their taxes, to make sure that there is a policy put in place so that their tax liens aren't sold to an investor where they have to pay 18% on top of their back taxes, to make sure that our seniors in our Blue Hills neighborhood, where I am a resident of, that may be able to go to the city to see what type of program that they can take advantage of so that they can stay in their house, because this is what it's all about, making sure that your residents are comfortable in their houses and they're able to save their houses from somebody taking them and moving them elsewhere.
Okay. What about employment? Any proposals or plans for increasing the level of employment among Hartford residents?
I would like to see some of our major employers put in place that they will at least agree to hiring at least 100 individuals from the city that's a resident of the city of Hartford to help with the unemployment rate in the city, and working with some of our the other major employers in small businesses, far as on the youth aspect, to make sure that there are internships that are put in place, not just during the summertime, but year round. As you know, that the Summer Youth Learning Employment Program was cut. So I'm looking to see how we can find ways revenue generating to make sure that our youth are employed during the summertime, year round, making sure that when they go away to school, that they have an internship spot available to them when they come back home from school. And then also too, after they graduate, seeing how we can also make sure that they stay in the city of Hartford so that we can bring our kids back to Hartford instead of just pushing them out, because the more people that go out, the less money that's being invested into the city.
Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly take my hat off to you for your willingness and aspiration of becoming a elected official representing the city of Hartford.
Thank you, sir.
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. I'm here to tell you, it can very oftentimes be a thankless job. And it requires a lot of dedication and commitment. And if you're elected, I have no doubt, I have every confidence that you will put forth the kind of effort and exhibit the kind of commitment and dedication that will result in very good things for the people of the city of Hartford. So we've got a couple of minutes left. I don't know if there's anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about, but if that's the case, this is probably your opportunity to do so.
I would just like to remind people to vote for myself and the rest of Row A on September 16th, which is a Wednesday. The primary is a Wednesday for this year. And look for me. I'll be the first name on the council side for the ballot. Thomas T.J. Clark. TJ will be in parentheses. I'm just looking for support and for the people that's just to come out and vote for a change. I believe that voices have been heard, and it's time for the voters to make that change by electing us and myself.
Well, again, I congratulate you for your candidacy. I wish you the best.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your support and your leadership as well.
Yep, it's a pleasure to have you on the program, and I'm looking to hear good things from you.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us for this segment of the Senate Reports. I appreciate that you took the time to view the program, and I hope that you'll take the time to view future programs. Thank you for being with us, and we'll join you next time.